So, good morning, my artsy friends. Happy Monday morning to you. My name is Ken Johnson, your thrifty apprentice, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on our regularly scheduled Monday morning YouTube Live, which goes down every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, as long as everything stays the same and nothing changes. In today's live, I did gather you all here and invite you over so that we can explore painting watercolor postcards. Now, the idea behind this live today is going to be that we are going to paint postcards for the holidays, but they won't be necessarily holiday themed. So we're going to keep the postcards to landscapes and we're going to try to keep them to fall and winter landscapes. That way, if you decide to paint this on your own at home, you can grab yourself a Merry Christmas stamp, or you can just write Merry Christmas on the front of one of those postcards at the bottom of your painting, fill out the information on the back, and send it off in the mail. Now, I do suggest that whenever you are doing a watercolor postcard or a watercolor greeting card, that you seal your work before you mail it off. Just spray it with a nice varnish. I personally use Krylon, use whatever you have. In a pinch, you can actually use hairspray. But if you're going to use hairspray, I suggest that you go to like your local Dollar Tree, your local Dollar General, find like the cheapest hairspray you can find because it's going to have less of all of the additives and the preservatives, so like moisturizers and all those things in it. It's basically going to be just regular hairspray. And heaven forbid, if you can get your hands on a can of Aquanet, Aquanet works wonders in a pinch. Now, it might not necessarily be archival, but we are talking about sending off a watercolor greeting card or a watercolor postcard. So this is not something that you're expecting to outlast you. I don't think. Well, I don't ever expect my Happy Meal to outlast me, but who knows? Maybe they'll pass it down to their kids. I'm sorry, I was just taking a swig of my coffee. So let me show you the products that we're using. I am going to be using this pack of Masters Touch Fine Art Studio watercolor postcards. Now, this is a pack of 6x4, 140-pound cold press acid free pre made postcards. But at the beginning, before we get started, I'm actually going to show you how to cut your own watercolor postcard, just in case you don't have any. And we're actually going to put the lines on the back and everything to show you how you can make postcards right inside your studio without having to go out and grab one at all. I'm also going to be using for paints this testing set of tonic watercolors. Now, this will be the second painting that I have done. This is a set that I picked up off from Paint Crush, run by Christy Rice over on her Palm Street channel. And if you guys are not on Palm Street, I definitely suggest that you use the link in the video description to access it. Go ahead and sign up for it. There are some wonderful artists over there that do lives on a regular basis. But the great thing about it is it's a sales site, so you'll have access to super great discounts on artist produced products. With this said, there is already a link up or a posting up over on my Palm Street site using the link in the video description will take you there, where we will be doing the last Palm Street Live of the year. I think it's December 1st. It's going to be a paint along, and of course, I will have items throughout the paint along for you guys to grab up if you would like to. So I'm going to be using these paints for the second time because I am testing them for review. Now I'll show you the swatches for the tonic, just in case you're curious. That's the swatch sheet for those art sticks I showed you guys earlier. Really creamy product. It kind of reminds me of most of the gel crayons you get, maybe a gelato. But yeah, go check the video out. So we're going to be using the tonic watercolors. Now, this is a professional line of watercolors that are made right here inside the good old US of A, St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken. So this will be one of the third or fourth American-made watercolor brands that we've tried and tested over the last 12 months. Let's pop open this pack of cards so I can show you guys what Now, I have no idea. I haven't used, when was this manufactured? This is manufactured in 2021. The last time I used Hobby Lobby products or bought Hobby Lobby products were the products that were manufactured in 2010. So it's been a while ago. I'm not sure how the paper is. It was okay back then. I'm not sure how it is now. But let's just take a look here. We have, oh, that's actually a pretty smooth surface. This is cold press. Yeah, it says cold press. I mean, that's pretty smooth. I would almost think that was hot press paper, how smooth that is. I'm not sure how well that's going to handle a lot of water. But nonetheless, as you can see, this is what a ready-made postcard looks like. It would be blank on the front. On the back, you would have the place to write the address, and then the place to put the stamp. And here, for some reason, they decided to put their branding on it, which, yeah. So that's that. Those are what the postcards look like. Let me show you how you can make one yourself, if you wanted to. I'm just going to grab a piece of this Academy watercolor paper. I'll be cutting. You know what? No, instead of cutting that off the block, let me grab. Where is it? You know how it is when you're looking for something, you can never put your hands directly on it. Okay, here we go. We will grab a piece of New York Central. This is my favorite professional paper. Uh, love, love, love the sizing on it. I love it. I like this paper more than I like Arches. It is my go-to professional brand. So I'm just going to show you really quick how you can make your own postcard. Now, you do not have to have a cutting board. You can use a pair of scissors and a ruler, draw a straight line, use your scissors to cut it out. You can use a not wooden, I'm sorry, metal ruler and a box cutter or a palette knife in order to cut off your edges. You don't have to have a cutter, but I have my acrylic mat here, so I'm not going to be using anything sharp against it. I'm just going to use the cutter. So the postcards that we're doing are 4x6. This is a 5x7 piece of paper. So basically, I am just going to cut it down to 4x6. It's going to be pretty simple. And there we have a watercolor postcard. You can use a bigger piece of paper, cut out many of them if you want to. Now my blade on my cutter needs to be changed. You can see that. But yeah, and that's fine. I can clean up the edges of that later. We'll actually use this versus one of those. Well, we're going to do more than one. So we're going to use one of both. All right. So to do the back of the postcard, if you're using 140-pound cold press paper, once you cut your 4x6, if you flip your cold press texture over on the back, typically it's more of a hot press texture. So it's going to be smoother. There's going to be less tooth. It'll be easier for you to actually write on if you choose to. I am going to grab a ruler, uh, better yet, a T-square, if I can get it out. I told you guys I wasn't truly prepared for this live. I knew what I was doing, but I didn't have everything together. All right. So somewhere in the middle of this paper, which you could, what is this, 4x6? So you could measure over about 3 inches. I'm gonna measure over about 3 inches. I'm gonna put just a little pencil mark at the top that I'll erase in a minute. And then I'm going to line my T-square up on that line and grab a fine liner and draw a line from, that's just above one. So this about 3/4 in down to 3.5. I'll do it again just to make sure it's dark. That's our line down the middle. Now we need to put on 3 evenly spaced lines for the mailing address. Just gonna line that up. I know that that mark is on 3, so I'll start this at, that's 4, 3 1/4. I don't need it to be about that long. And we'll space them out and put 3 of them on here. Very easy to make. You don't have to fret yourself if you don't have pre-made postcards. Make your own. That's not evenly spaced, but you get the point. And then you put your stamp up there, return address. There you have a watercolor postcard without having to go out and buy any. Pretty easy, pretty simple. I'm sure that was self-explanatory, but hey, maybe somebody needed to see it. Let's get to painting. I'm going to actually start out painting on one of these. I don't know. Let's paint on one of these, see how they work. Kind of, kind of skeptical. But you now, friends, I don't know about this one. Now, I'm not going to take this down per se. I really need to because I like to move my stuff around. So let me grab a board right quick so I can um, take this down. In the meantime, you guys grab your supplies, get yourselves ready if you're not already, because we'll be moving pretty quick with this. These landscapes going to be simple and straightforward. Keep in mind, this is meant to just be a little hello, happy holiday greeting. You know, we're not trying to paint masterpieces here. We want them to look nice, don't get me wrong, but we're definitely not trying to paint masterpieces. So let me, and I'm actually going to take this down from the back. You guys seen me do this before because I want to paint all the way to the edge of the card. And hopefully the paper doesn't buckle too much, because if it does, then we're going to have a problem with this particular method. But for right now, we're going to pretend that we're moving into this. And I'm pretty sure that this is a cellulose paper. I'm more than sure that this is not a cotton paper. So we're really about to test the waters here. All right, let's get this baby taped down on a board. I picked, this is a cutting board from the Dollar Tree. It was like 99 cents. You don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of things. You can use the back of any of your paper pads, like the back of your paper pads. Once you're done with the paper pad, keep that and use that as a board to paint on. Take your project down to. I am looking for a piece of paper that I can, here we go, use to press that down. And you guys get to see my writing for my ideals of 2026. I'm thinking about doing a subscription box for 2026. So I've been and doing a series based on it. So I've been doing some research on subscription boxes. All right, that's kind of a little crooked. But that's okay. We'll make it not crooked like that. There. I'm going to grab my T-square back, and for the first illustration, we are going to keep it really straightforward. Um, I'm actually going to be going down my Instagram page and pulling inspiration from that with some things that I've painted before. Because it's going off. I mean, unless these people would watch my YouTube or follow me on Instagram, they would never know. You know what I mean? So about a third of the way down that paper, I'm gonna grab a pencil. I'm throwing on a horizon line. Now I'm gonna sketch the rest in freehand. We have a mid-ground area that includes land, water, and a foreground. Now let's see if I can get all of this in, considering how low I made that, how low I made that And basically what I'm doing is drawing the outline of the water itself to bank. I think this was an image that I did from um what's that thing called? Uh Map Crunch. I think it was. I think it was an image that was done from Map Crunch. All right. That's all the lines we're going to need. I know you're thinking to yourself, what are we doing? But let's get to crack a that. I've got a two bucket system, one for clean water, one for rinsing. I'm going to start off with my sky. I am really concerned about this paper, so let's give it a try. I'm grabbing a number 8 synthetic swirl. You want to grab a brush that is going to hold a pretty decent amount of water here. And we are going to do a pretty light sky. We're going to put a few clouds in the background. So we'll start off with, and I'm using this acrylic matte as a mixing wheel, which I did yesterday as well. I'm doing it to see how this matte is going to stain up. Now, this matte, I told you guys, I think it was last live. I picked this matte up from, oh, what's the name of that place? Five Below. Let's start off with what I am hoping is going to be ultramarine. Yes, it is. All right. You can use whatever blue you want. You can use a cobalt. You can use a cerulean if you want a lighter sky. Keep in mind that if you're using a true cobalt blue or ultramarine, your sky is going to have granulation in it. So, you want to keep those textures in mind. I'm going to go ahead and wet this sky. Mm, okay. And I'm going to grab some of that ultramarine blue. We're going to start across the top. And I'm going to work pretty fast because I want to lift clouds out. And again, I'm not really sure about this paper. I'm going to rinse my brush and go back in and bring it on down to the horizon. Not quite dark enough. Let's grab more ultramarine. Whenever you add your paint, you want to add it at the top and work your way down. I dipped in straight from the pan that time because I really do want to get a stronger blue at the top. Then I'm going to grab my wash to join it. Paper is drying already. That's exactly what I was talking about. So let me get a paper towel. We're going to try to drag that blue on down. You want sort of that gradiated effect where it's darker at the top, lighter at the bottom. I'm going to grab a paper towel. Oh my goodness, I really think it's going to dry. Let's see if we can get some clouds out here. Okay, it's not the greatest lifter in the world, but I guess you can see a little something. Okay, so the paper doesn't lift brilliantly, which is not good because it's a cellulose paper, and cellulose papers typically, it can also depend on your paint too, but typically they will allow for lifting because the paint doesn't absorb directly down into the paper right away. Okay, that's pretty decent. You can see the clouds there. That'll work for me. Keep in mind, it's just a postcard, not a masterpiece. Of course, I'm gonna have to continue to tell myself that. And I want that a little bit more saturated. I mean, just a tiny bit more saturated along the bottom of that. I'm hoping I don't end up with back runs because I am adding water in, kind of shaping cloud just so it doesn't look so uniform. All right, that might give me a hard edge. If you want to prevent that, wipe your brush and go back and just go along the edge of that cloud and do it really quickly to soften it, especially if you're using a cellulose paper. Keep in mind the drying rate of your paper. I do the same thing on this side really quick. I just want to soften that edge so it doesn't look like we have like harsh lines in our clouds. All right, let's keep moving. We're going to move on down. I'm moving to, what is this green? I think this green is called Phthalo Evergreen. I want to mix it with a little yellow though, because it's one of those really bright greens. Phthalo green is already very bright and transparent, and I need to see the pigment makeup. I haven't looked up the pigment makeup of these colors yet, but I really need to see the pigment makeup so that I can see if it's something else in there, because I really need like a sap green color here. I'm gonna show you a really good way to make up. Let's make more of an olive green. Actually, we're gonna grab what is this color? Yellow ochre. Let's get quite a bit of yellow ochre. Let's see if we can make a wash of this. We don't want it to be too wet because we will be wetting our paper. But you do want it to be strong in color. Now let's grab ultramarine blue, and we are gonna slightly start adding it in until well, maybe not enough blue. Now that actually didn't do it. Typically you get more of an olive green color, but then it makes me wonder what the yellow ochre is made of. Because that definitely that's not an olive green at all. I mean, I guess it is. I guess it is. I'm gonna brighten it up with a little bit of that regular yellow. It's actually a lot more muddy than I want it to be. Mm. That mixture didn't work the way I thought it was going to work. It really didn't. If anybody happens to know the pigment makeup of tonic watercolors and you have it laying around or anywhere, somebody tell me what the pigment number for the yellow ochre is. If not, I'll definitely look it up later. With that said, we're going to have to pivot and go in the other direction. So I'm going to go back to the Phthalo Evergreen, and let's try mixing that with a little bit of the ultramarine and some of the yellow. I don't know how that's going to be. Let's see. I guess that's better. It still looks very unnatural to me. And I'm not going to use an unnatural looking color. So let's grab some of that yellow. And we're going to mix it directly with ultramarine. And yes, I won't switch blues. I keep using the ultramarine for my mixing blue because that's the one I use in the sky. And we're probably going to go with that. Definitely. I'm saying I have not been producing the best work lately. I know we all go through that, but still, it's been interesting. Okay, that'll work, and then we'll use that other blue for a darker green, maybe. I mean, that other greener for a darker green. I'm going to wet my little land. I'm not going to go, just kind of not touch the horizon. Go ahead and drop in that green. However, we are going to kind of not gray it out, but we're going to be dropping. And I need to move very quickly, keeping in mind how this paper dries. It kind of reminds me almost of the paper that's inside that little original book that I did this painting in. All right, I'm going to mix a little bit more ultramarine in that, get it darker. Not even sure what that shade looks like, but I'm just gonna go in there and drop in some darker patches. I'm gonna switch gears really quick. We're grabbing what I'm thinking is burnt sienna. These are interesting watercolors. And I'm going to mix into that ultramarine blue. It's going to give us a bit of a gray. And I'm going to, it's actually almost purple. I'm going to paint in this path real quick. You guys know. Don't worry, we're going to get to the other one as well. We'll switch as they're drying. And in this area and in this area, you're going to have more green grass. We're going to have water there. Is that dry enough for me to put in water? No, it's not. Let's see if we can put in the grassy area here. I'm going to add some water to this well, and we're remixing the yellow, and we're adding a little ultramarine to it. We do want the green towards the front, maybe just a bit warmer than the green in the back. Hopefully that's how this is going to work out for us. Yeah, I don't like this paper at all. This paper is not even Canson XL quality. It's like that paper that comes inside those little travel books with the wooden pallets. That's okay. We're gonna make it work this time. Definitely won't be painting with it again. All right. You think yourself thirsty? That's gonna be a miss. It's okay. We're gonna work it out. Add another coat here. I need that to be a little bit more saturated for me. It's almost as though the paper doesn't truly want to hold the color. All right. Need to put the water in there to base that out. Hopefully we will be able to put it in there without anything running into each other. If it does, we're not gonna worry about it. This is just the underpainting. So I'm gonna go in. We want to reflect the colors that's in the sky and the water. I'm grabbing a light wash of ultramarine, and I don't want this water necessarily moving. It's more still. So we're gonna try to keep this in a flat wash. In the areas where the green ran into the water, I'm not worried about it. We'll just turn those into reflections. So really don't worry about your underpainting that much. You're really just basing in your white paper and kind of mapping out where things are going to go. I'm hungry. I am hungry. I am. I'm actually very hungry at the moment. I'm gonna go ahead and put some darker blue in there while I can still work. Just for some depth. Be some up this way. Take a brush, kind of blend it before I can't actually blend it because there's something else that this paper is not really allowing me to do well. Even in a wet to wet, look at that. It's hard for me to kind of blend that out because it dried so quick. Nonetheless, we'll be good. Okay, so that's everything based in. You get a pretty good idea of what the landscape is going to look like. We're going to sit this one to the side, give it time to start drying while we work on this one. Now, this one I want to make a little fun. I'm going to grab, let's see, Nicole, your plant portrait along with the iris from Christie should go out today. Oh, no, it should go out tomorrow. I'm sorry. It'll go out tomorrow. Okay, I have a circle template. We're gonna make this a little fun. Let's put, oh yeah, this big. Would this one fit? Oh, it will. Love that. Okay, we're going to kind of go all the way over to almost the edge. Yeah, why not do it on this side? Don't ask me how this is gonna turn out. Okay, not this one anyway, because this is an experiment. I'm grabbing a 1 millimeter fine liner, and I'm gonna take my time and divide this paper up with a circle. So you guys remember how I used to do the sketchbooks? That's how we're going to do this little sheet. Okay. So we're going to paint one thing inside that circle, and then we're going to paint another landscape around it. Ooh, watch out now. Okay, I need another board, don't I? And I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Maybe it'll help curb the hunger pains that I have at the moment. Somebody told me that coffee was an appetite suppressant once. I don't know how true it is. And I'll be checking the comment section shortly. Let's get this one started. All right, flip that over, and we're going to do the same thingamajig here. I heard Christy say that the other day, and I couldn't do nothing but laugh in the background. My family has been using the word thingamajig forever. I don't know if it's a Southern thing, because I definitely didn't pick it up until I started hanging out with family that I have in Mississippi. But thingamajig, and then Nicole turned around and typed in thingamabob, and I was thinking it in my head. And I was like, okay, wow. So you know how you be trying to think of what you're doing or what it is you're doing. You know the thingamajig, the thingamabob. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it works perfect in a sentence, by the way. And it stands for a person, place, or thing. It does. All right. Kind of line it up a little bit with the bottom. Get that stuck down. Now, see, this is what I was talking about using the back of a paper pad. This is Soho watercolor block that is now done. I just haven't ripped the front part of it off yet, which yes I could do right now. And then I use these for painting boards, or they become book boards inside my journals to make hard covers. Oh, well, I just used it to press it down. Pull double duty, friend. All right, now let's get started with this one inside the circle. Now, I'm anticipating that this one is going to bring me so much more joy to paint. Let's see, what illustration do I want to do on this one? Okay, my Instagram going crazy. I need to stop touching technology. I need to take an entire week off from touching any technology and then just do a reset, come back and try it again. Because at this point, I'm thoroughly convinced that there are some powers out there greater than me that are telling me I need to take a break. Oh, there's a nice one. Okay, let's do that one. Although that one is inside a vignette, we're still going to do it. Where'd my pencil go? I don't know here. Let's use this one. About, let's take it about that high. And what are we going to have? We're going to have tree area here. And we're going to have, let's make this a mountain. Just ever so slight in the back. And then off of that, we have a whole bunch of rocks. Some of you may remember this illustration. Some of you may not. So maybe your first time seeing it. But it's pretty simple and pretty easy. First things first, we need to do that little sky back there. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and throw on the horizon line for the main. Oh, I should have put that over there on this side so it won't look like it's twinning. Oh well, let me tell you, when you're doing stuff like this that you're sending off to somebody just to let them know you're thinking about them, do not, they're getting a card, they're getting a hand painted postcard or a hand painted whatever. Do not allow yourself to beat yourself up. Maybe that's a little lean. I don't know. That way we can change it up a little bit. Let's get started. I'm grabbing, actually, you know what would be cool? It would be cool to paint with a flat brush. Let's switch it up a little bit. If you ever feel like your paintings are getting too samey as you're painting, switch up your brushes. If you're used to painting with a round, grab a flat. If you don't want to grab a flat, grab a dagger or a cat's tongue or, something of that nature. Now, I'm saying all of that, but I can't find the flat I want. Oh, I meant to show you guys the advent calendar too. We'll do that when we get to checking the comment section. Um, okay. I have a nylon flat. This is a number, what is this? A number 3. Something very small. I'm going to start off with some really watery ultramarine. I'm not going to wet the sky here because I don't want to lose too much color. We'll keep it darker at the top. Kind of put some blue down through there. I'm going to go in and drop in, what is this? This is Federal Red, or Queen Magenta. I want to go with the Queen Magenta. Grab a little of this Queen Magenta, water it down. We're going to put some of that in the sky. It may be cute if it had a little, just hints of yellow here and there. So let's grab some of that yellow. Or maybe I should have used yellow ochre, but it's in there now. Keep in mind if that yellow hits that blue, it's going to go green, but I'm not really concerned with that. I'm going to bring this blue into meeting other areas. Trying to avoid the yellow if I can. Like I said, I'm not too worried about that. Grab a little bit more of that magenta. And then just kind of blend all that together into my sky. Very light, very cute. There, you can see how that looks. We're going to take the same technique and come down into the water area. I'm going to add a little bit more water to my ultramarine blue. And we're going to start back up against the horizon. And this you can put as moving water. Moving water. If you go outside your line, it's not that big of a deal because it's going to be water right here too. I'm going to add some water to that, kind of spread some of that ultramarine out as we build this little water area. I'm going to go and grab some of that pink, put that in, let it kind of flow down with some reflections here. It'll turn into some purple in the water. We're not really worried about it. You can put in a few splashes of yellow if you want, because you did use that in the sky. This is no thinking painting, friends. No thinking, just painting. Just kind of pulling stuff, looking at an image and then slightly repeating it. I'm just going to put that yellow in certain areas. Then I'm going to bag off of it really quick because it's going to definitely make green if we're not careful. Grabbing some more ultramarine here. Now, once that blue overlaps that green, make no mistake, overlaps that yellow, I'm sorry, make no mistake, it is going to turn green. So I'm just kind of taking it right up to where it's yellow at, and then I'm going to go back in with magenta and try to blend that out. Put some shadow in it later. I'm going to add a little bit more magenta to that just because I can, just because I want to. And I want to bridge the yellow in as well. Give us some nice colors in the water. You can paint right over your rock, not a big deal. It's decent. It's gonna give us a nice water area. We need to let that dry, then we can move in with the rest of it. Okay, let's put in our tree line. I'm gonna grab, what is this? This is a number 5 round. This is a nylon brush, so it's gonna hold less water. It's what you would, same thing that your golden Teflon brushes would be. And I want to mix a lighter version of a gray green and a darker version. So we're gonna see. We actually need to start off with mixing the original green again. And this is the only thing about not using a convenience green, is that you have to remix, especially if you don't mix enough to begin with, you know. And these pans are kind of small. This is just a sampler set, so I can't really get big brushes in there like I want to. Another reason I decided to do smaller style paintings, because I think that after I get through with today's images, I'm probably going to be ready to go ahead and review these paints. I'll do one other off-screen kind of still life type image in the background myself. Okay, let's gray that down. We're going to add a little bit of burnt umber to it. We're going to add more ultramarine to it. And then we're going to have to go back and add some more yellow to it. And that yellow is normally a pretty strong color. This yellow seems a bit weak to me. And it actually became almost olive, or whatever. We'll just put ultramarine directly in it. So let me grab a little bit more ultramarine in there. And we've got a tree over here, and you can just kind of dot it in. These are far off in the background. And then we have, let's see, some, some more just kind of jagged up and straight up and down trees here. And I'm just using the tip of my brush, just going straight up and down. And it's going to make it look like little tree tops back there. You don't have to do too much work. This is kind of one of those paintings that's going to paint itself. Um, then there's more of a division here. And that's our base color green. Got that down. Let's get in some ultramarine, darken it up, drop a little bit of it here and there. It's going to add levels to your trees, add depth to it, to them, and make some look like it's closer to you, some looks like they're further back. I'm going to define my horizon line a little more there. And then I think I want to go in directly with just ultramarine blue. And just here, yeah, that's too watery. Just here and there, let it mix on the paper. Just add a little bit more depth to some stuff. Okay, I like that. Keep it simple, keep it cute. It's more about values with this type of painting. All right, I think I feel that. Can you guys see? If you guys can't see, let me know and I'll be happy to zoom in. Um, we're gonna have a tree right here, so let's go ahead and work that tree in. I'm gonna mix out some not ultramarine, but what is this color? Burnt umber, burnt sienna. I'm sorry. I really would prefer a burnt umber. This burnt sienna seems really red. Well, it's not burnt sienna, it's red oxide. That's why it's very red. So I'm gonna knock it back a little bit with just a touch of ultramarine blue because it's super red. Let's see if we can get more of a brown here, and but that's okay because we're using a lot of greens. This will really make the tree trunk stand out. And we are going to put in a guy right here. And we're just filling in areas for branches, or filling in branches. We're going to put some leaves there. Let's straighten the trunk out here. And just let the trunk kind of run down. We'll put shadow on this shortly. And of course, because it's smaller and shorter, it looks like it's in the distance from us. But you do want that to cut the horizon. It's going to start to add scale. So we're cutting directly through our horizon line with it. All right. It's going to be a tree there. Let's give that a second to dry. And then we'll go in and kind of put in the leaves. Let's start to add a little bit more depth to the water. The first thing I'm going to do is put a bank. Excuse me, I'm going to turn this paper. And this is one reason I put my paintings on a board so that I can turn my water falling out of my ferrule. I want to try to be careful of that so that I can turn my paper as I go, make it easier. I'm just going to put in a little indication of that being raised on a bank. Hmm. Watercolors are definitely not what I thought they were. Just hit and miss here and there. We'll do the same thing to the front part of that in a minute. I want to go ahead and start putting down some shadows so that the trees look like they have a bit of reflection going on the ground. We're going to bring a shadow in over off the side of the tree. And we're leaving this area blank because towards the end, we're going to be putting a tree kind of coming off the side of the paper. It'll look like it's more in the foreground though. And it'll be using this area. That's why we're not doing too much over here. Let's put in some shadow here. I'm going to use ultramarine. I really want it to be green leaning. I'm going to grab some of the oxide and mix it. It's not the same as mixing burnt sienna or ultramarine. You could use a three-color combination, like mixing your primaries together in order to get a gray. This is going to give me more of a purpley color, but since I'm using that oxide red in other places, I'm just going to go ahead and stick to using it. I may even throw in just a touch of black, especially since it's mixed with that purple and stuff. I could even mix in some green, mix green and red together. That would be That was probably would have been a smarter bit, but hey, yeah, that is dark on this. It's okay though. Let's see if we can. Let's mix it into this green, darken it green. Let's do it like that. You're just basing in some shadow, giving some depth to your crown area. Okay. I just want to put in a little shadow for right now. I am going to be putting some trees here in the middle. Maybe, maybe not. Let's go ahead and work on getting that part done. Um, we're going to go back to mixing the green, grabbing yellow. I'm going to have this color mixture all over this. I'm really going to have to give this acrylic matte a really good scrub when this is all said and done. And I'm going to use the ultramarine, mix it in here. We're trying to get that nice bright green that we were painting with at first. And we want to get quite a bit of that. And then we'll just be darkening it with ultramarine as we go in order to build this tree. So we'll start with this lighter green. And let's say, I'm just using the tip of my brush to shape the tree, shape the leaves. I don't want to keep it like completely uniform. You definitely want to leave some space in there to give your tree some breathing room. Now let's make that darker so we can go in with some shadows, especially around the base of the tree. All right, we're gonna go even darker, adding more ultramarine, maybe even some of this little black color. And I'm gonna dot it in here and there. Just let it kind of mix into what's already there and wet. I want to grab some of that black color and kind of shade the side of this tree. Although you really, really probably wouldn't see that, we're gonna roll with it anyway. Let's put some grasses in around the base of that tree. And I also grab some of that darker color. Throw some of that in here and there. All right, let's move on towards this part. Um, we need to do something with this pad. It's not padding. So let's go ahead and water down some of that dark, and we're just gonna go and enhance areas of the pad. leaving some of that original gray definitely showing through. Just kind of blending out some shadow on it. You can even turn it into a sidewalk if you want to. Why not, right? So I'm gonna spread that color out just a little more. Again, you can actually do something like, I don't know, since it's right up on you, this isn't in the other painting, but why not? Turn it into like little sidewalk panels put together. Maybe it's an old worn out sidewalk or something. Put some darker tones in here, especially like right around the bank. Bring some up front. Just kind of, it's just impressionistic painting. It's not like the mind is going to do all the work with this type of painting. Okay, I have to check out my screen right quick, see how we were looking. Putting dark in right around the pad, make sure it stands out, and we'll put some darker grasses in there eventually. Whatever, something right there. Okay, I'm gonna put in that same crown line. This turned out to be a whole illustration itself, huh? Sort of a lot for a postcard. There. Now let's put in, moving kind of fast here. Let's put in, or trying to move faster, should I say, some, there's already some shadow in the water. Let's put in some shadow from this tree. And I'm using that dark color. It's gonna be, put it in, blend it out. Keep in mind, it's farther from the water, so you're just gonna kind of get the shading of the tree going across the water like that, and nothing really blends on this cotton, ever loving cotton picking paper. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so it is not my recommendation to try the Master's Touch watercolor cards. They are not the best paper. You can definitely get something painted with them, don't get me wrong, because as you can see, I'm painting on them, but they're definitely not something I would suggest you just go out and spend your money on, although they're only like $5. So that says a lot, right? It's $5 for 15 postcards. Make your own. It'll be better quality. You know you'll be painting on a paper that you like. Make your own. Let me darken that up. All right, I'm gonna add in this final tree, and then we're probably gonna call this done. Again, nothing too serious. We're gonna add in this tree that comes out here. Let's put in some grasses around the bank. And then go back in with some darker color. This paper feathers. Like if the paint is too wet, the paper is going to feather. So that's like a big drawback to it. It makes it really hard to kind of control where your paints are, you know. Uh, see, that's darker. It needs to be up here. Now it wants to get dark. Imagine it. Um, for these back here, I want more of the green look. Do I want to put that tree there? I'm trying to decide if I want to put the tree right here. There's a tree. There's actually three trees right here, and they're shorter than this one. But perspective wise, I'm not sure if I want to put that in. Perspective wise, I should have put a big birch tree over here. Um, but anywho, there you have it here. Put in some little grasses along the path. You know, it's like grass is growing everywhere. Whatever. And let's put in this one. We'll put in some birds, and then I'll see if I'm gonna do anything else. Because I want to move on to the other one. Where are we? We're probably like 9 hours into this live at this point. We're definitely over an hour and a half. Okay, so I like about 30 minutes to keep us within the time frame we're normally within. So I'm just gonna grab some of this, knock this oxide red. I'm gonna knock it back a little bit, and we are going to throw in some branches coming off this side. Once I finish this one, I'll check the comment section. There we go. Hopefully that's better. So that's what it's looking like. You know, just a quick little landscape, nothing too much. Thank you for throwing that advice out, Mary Ann. Yes, you can definitely zoom in your screen. Um, but I did zoom in on it a little bit more. Hopefully that'll be better for you guys. And then over here, we're gonna have we're gonna have there's like a tree here. So I'm just throwing in hints of a trunk, or should I say, of branches that are coming in here. All right, we need to give it a second to dry, and then we'll paint in some leaves on top of that. That's coming in off the foreground there. I don't think I'm gonna put that tree in the middle. I think I'm gonna put a nice little rock here in front though, you know, why not? Why not? Now I already know I'm not gonna be able to lift on this paper, but I can make some little dark shapes that look like rocks. Right? I was actually supposed to have a doctor's appointment today, but I canceled it because it is really rainy and I'll reschedule it. Definitely will reschedule it. Don't worry. But I didn't feel like getting up that early in the morning, going out in the rain, basically. All right. Sorry about that. About the Zoom issue, guys. All right. Only thing we need to do is fill in the leaves over there. So I'm gonna move this one to the side. And yes, I know that branch is kind of wonky, but it doesn't matter because we're gonna be putting leaves on top of it just like we did here. So yeah. And then look how the paper curls. Like, so I would definitely have to lay this under something flat before I sent it to anyone. And maybe I would put some wording right here in the water that says something like keep smiling or something like that. But just a little cute watercolor postcard. All right, let's grab the other one we were working on and see what progress we made. Looks like we got a little, okay, yeah, we're doing okay here. We're doing okay. Let's put in, I need to find, my Instagram keeps closing. And then I have to go back and find the image I was looking at. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this one is okay. I see what I did there. We're just gonna go in with this dark right away. Let's make some. It's sort of bluish. That's cool. We're just gonna put in a little tree line back here, and I'm keeping my brush straight up and down at a 90-degree angle as I make these marks. Landscapes are pretty easy to get away with for me. Um, because of course, if you're using a reference photo, you don't have to follow the reference photo exactly. You can really fudge a landscape so much more than you can like a still life or anything of that nature. So we're going to paint that in with that lighter gray blue, like so. We're going to get a little bit more saturated with that color now. It's too wet. It's too wet. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in. It's a little too wet. That's okay. Let's let that blend for a second. We'll put darker on top of it in a second. Let me grab, but since that's watered down, let's switch back over to that flat we were using. And I'm gonna very carefully paint in a snow-capped mountain here on this side. And that you do want to kind of keep light to push it back. And hopefully I made it light enough to push it back behind the tree line. Keeping in mind your value here. You want to keep the value for the rocky part of your mountain much lighter than the value of your tree line in front. All right. Now I can switch back over to working on the tree line in front. Let's grab. I need this not to be so soupy and wet. There we go. And we're gonna get a little bit. Now I'm not letting that really dry. So basically what's happening is some of them colors are blending. That's okay. And it should make it look like it's making several layers there. Only thing we need to do is put some kind of some pine trees in. Let's work on the rocks. Those are super simple, but super effective. Now you can go in and sharpen up. I'm gonna sharpen up even more. This line, we're gonna leave that line really light because we still want that water to look like it's moving backwards towards that mountain. Let's see. You got these little real quick, real quick paintings, man. Real quick paintings. Nothing too dramatic. So I'm basing in the whole rock at this point. Yes, right on top of the color that was painted for the water. And we're going to do some lifting soon to see how that works out. Again, this one. All right, we just need to let those dry a little bit. We're going to put darker value on them. Oh, it's this little itty bitty. Let's see. Oxide red. Really don't like the mixture that makes. It's definitely more purple. Add a little water to that. I'm gonna mix in a little black like I did earlier, just to keep. I don't want a dead black. hmm And we're gonna make this one the darkest. Why? Because it's the closest to us. And I'm still gonna be able to go in and add shadow to that, believe it or not. I know you're like, no way, yes way. Um, I'm gonna add some water to my brush. I don't want this one as saturated, but I do want it a little bit more saturated than what it is. That one seems to be doing increasing in layers and steps. All right. Okay, now I'm going to take some of the darkest I've made here. Is this dry? It should be. And we're gonna put in just a few trees here in the front, some bushes. All right, this should be good. There you go. Very cute tree line, very faint mountain in the background. Let's start putting some, we need to get it time to dry. Let's get those rocks a little time dry. Then we're going to add some more definition to those. And there you have a little silhouette landscape. Um, Now we need to get to this one back here, don't we? I need a bigger brush. I'm going to try to hurry up and paint this one in the back. Yeah, rain and getting up early has not mixed with me today. I can't get my I can't get my mojo going. My mojo is not going right. It's just not. Let's put on these little branches over here. So we can call this one a wrap. So I'm just gonna go in and you're definitely gonna have to make this lighter and darker. If that makes sense, right? Because you're having to cover up this green. So just kind of keep in mind where you're putting things because you're about to have to get that much darker to really get it to stand out the way you would want it to. But for now, I'm just kind of tapping in green all over my branches. Let's go back and let's see. Let's see if we can constitute some of this darker green. Any of the greens that's on my palette right now are fair game. Any of them. And it may help. Oh, I forgot I zoomed out so you couldn't see all of that. My bad. Um, it may help for you to remember that the darker this is, the more to you is going to pull. So now I'm going to go in and actually add in some darker leaves here, and it's going to help kind of cover. Okay, just to give you the feel that there's a tree right there. And that is that I'm gonna do to that one. It is what it is. You really get a really cute little card you can send off. You can write happy birthday on it. You can stamp happy birthday on it. I'm not a happy birthday writer. I'm not really good with verse calligraphy, but we're gonna give this a try. Where do I want to put it? Um, Here, but you get the point. You could stamp it. You could do whatever you want to do with it. You can still sign your little card, little postcard, and we'll call that a card here. Let me put a little. You don't have to get nearly as detailed with these as I with this as I did, but definitely use a much better paper than I use. Okay, put a little shadow down there for that tree. But yes, definitely use a much better paper. Pull this off the back here. Let's zoom out for just a second so you can see the overall effect of this. I'm able to touch the front because believe it or not, that little tree area I just painted is dry already. So yeah, friends, I definitely suggest if you're going to get you some watercolor postcards, get you some that are 100% cotton. If not, definitely order one that's like Strathmore. I know Strathmore makes them, Canson may make them, but all in all, there's a really cute little whimsical type landscape, something you can paint on the front of a postcard really quick, flip it over on the back, sign your name. I mean, fill in the information for the person you're sending it to, put a stamp on it. I would seal this with a sealant. Now, as I told you guys earlier, especially if you're going to be sending it to someone, keep in mind that just like today, I told you it's raining here. There are a lot of conditions outside of your studio that could affect a watercolor painting. So I typically seal my stuff with Krylon, but as I said earlier, something like an Aquanet hairspray would work as well. So there's one. So, and they're gonna look better as a whole. You know, whole is better than the sum. You could do a little 4x6 frame. You know, one of those frames that's like 8x10 or what's the next size of 11x12. Is that it? And then it'll have the 4 to 6 4x6 cuttings out in the mat. You can paint up. You can paint these up, and then like put them inside that and give like an entire gift of watercolor, little miniature watercolor paintings that might would work. Terry X, have you ever used Dorman's wax? No, I have not. I've never used it to seal with. I've always just used, for the longest time, I used hairnet. I mean, Aquanet. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I didn't actually start using Krylon until about 2 years ago. So, yeah, let's finish this up real quick. My assumption would be that if this had been painted on this paper, it would have much more vibrancy to it. But you see the shift in the colors, um, especially if you're going to use really wet washes with this paper. So, yes, it is true that a really good quality watercolor is something that you know, you should aim for. But you also have to keep in mind that the paper is a very important tool and a very important vehicle. And I would be one to argue that the paper is probably more important than the actual paints that you're painting with. Now, that might just be a personal opinion, but I would definitely be one to argue that. Now, I'm zooming out just a little bit more so I can show you guys this really quick. Coming up in December, right after next Sunday at 6 p.m. Keep in mind we have the final Palm Street sale of the year, so don't forget, friends. Don't forget to mark your calendars. Don't forget to go over there and hit the notification on that actual live. As I said earlier, you can follow the link in the video description. So definitely don't forget about that live. Now, coming up in December, we're going to be doing a couple of things outside of launching um, the first ongoing sketchbook. We also are going to be opening this year 2025 DIY Advent Calendar. This is the one that I put together last year and have had sitting in a bag in a chest sealed for this year. So we will be going through this Advent Calendar um, for 2025. I ordered the Meeden Advent Calendar, so we're going to be taking a look at that. I ordered the Paint Crush Advent Calendar, so we're going to be taking a look at that. And based on the way my DIY Advent Calendar is set up, I'm more than likely going to open the Meeden and open the Paint Crush, and then we'll use the supplies from those two Advent calendars in order to kind of work our way through this one because this one is only 12 days. So, yeah, should be fun. Stay tuned. All right, let's finish this up real quick. I'm going to wet my sky. We're going to keep it about the same here. It would have been cool. We should have did the same exact thing, but I want the circle inside to be more colorful than what's on the outside. So we are just going to And these are just 4x6 pieces of paper. I mean, you can either even order your 4x6 paper pad and paint on it, flip it over on the back, write mailing information, send it off. You don't even have to draw the lines on it. They'll get the point that it's a postcard. I promise they will. I'm gonna grab ultramarine and I'm mixing in a new wheel now because I just want it to be fresh ultramarine. And we're gonna go in at the top here. And I'm letting that back run towards the top. Keep in mind you want your color darker at the top and then lighter as you move down with your sky. If you want to, you can go ahead and dab you out some clouds here. I'm not gonna worry about it. I do kind of want to put a colorful sky in there though, so I'm gonna grab just a little bit of that. What was that color? What's that purple? What's that color? Quinacridone magenta, Quin magenta. I'm just mixing a little bit of it into this sky anyway. Moving down to the water, I actually want to make that a little bit stronger across the top. Too much water on my brush. Hope I won't end up with a cauliflower. Just want to make that sky a little darker at the top there. Maybe just a smidge more color. I keep adding lots of water to my paper. I'm not trying to. All right. Now I'm going to move into doing the water area. So I'm going to keep going because I'm going to try to make this quick. So if things blend together and run together, that's fine. We'll figure out how to divide it out later. Now I had that line there for it to be like a little land mass, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go in with this and start putting in blue, the ultramarine. I want it to be darker towards the horizon. Darker towards the bottom. Now I'm going to use a brush and just kind of blend the rest out. Wet brush, taking it all the way to the end. Grab a little magenta in a second. All right, I'm going to rinse my brush, grab a little magenta. Work that in some places so that Both paintings have like this connecting colors, these connecting colors. hmm Something like that. Get that magenta a little stronger in some places. I'm painting with a pretty dry brush because this brush is huge, got a huge belly on it, and it's a synthetic squirrel, so it will hold so much water if I'm not careful. And I need to let up because I don't want the magenta to blend too much into purple. All right, I think that's pretty cool. It's gonna look even better once it dries. There's a little warping even with this paper, but it's not a big deal. Now I have some watercolor leaching up into the sky. So I'm gonna grab this synthetic flat and go in here and see if I can. Okay, so we'll blend that into a mountain. This is why I tell you guys never fret. So let's see. That's dry enough. And if not, then it'll fuzz out a little bit. Let's put in a little mountain area back there. Why not? Then we can just blend that color right up into it. I'm gonna grab more of my gray. And now what I want to do is I'm gonna give it a little time to dry because I'm gonna go in and make some of those areas look lighter than others. So let's just give that a second to dry. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and bring that mountain down into my water for reflection, like so. We need to add more color to that. I'm really trying not to mix more color. I guess you guys can see that. I don't know why. I need to do a color mixing chart with these paints. Like I said, this is only my second time using this set. I've almost used the ultramarine up in its entirety, but I definitely want to. I definitely need to do a mixing chart with these paints because they don't white paint out the way I thought they would. Some of the colors don't necessarily mix the way I thought they would. So we're gonna go back and put some more dark on that mountain, and then we'll end up putting in. So I guess we need to let that dry. In the meantime, I can come back over here on this side. I'm mixing more ultramarine and more black into my darker color here. Should it take as long to paint these as it has taken me today? Absolutely not. It should not take you this long to paint anything. You guys know how I am on live, though I just move slow. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start putting in that kind of wavy, bolder shape for the reflection. Drag it out, keep it wavy, keep it watery looking. We'll do the same thing for my homie over here. Let's see. He's got more of a base on him like this. You can basically design your rocks to look however you want them to. Whatever floats your boat. I don't know what I just did with that one, but that'll work. All right, next we would have shadow that kind of dawns itself that way. All right, doing the back rocks real quick. And I'm gonna leave those light. The only thing I'm doing is putting a little bit of shadow in the water for those. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow back here for these trees. And I'm just hitting and missing at images, making sure not to cover up all that beautiful color I put in there. I'm going to define that mountain in the back just a little bit by adding a little, one other little wash of color to it. It's still not going to pull it forward, but it is going to make it a little bit more relevant and present in the overall sketch, like so. All right, what else we doing? I don't know. We're gonna add some little birdies to the sky. And only other thing I want to do is add some highlights to it. Now, I could have used a credit card scraper to scrape texture into this, but it really wasn't necessary. It's just a little postcard. We add a couple of water lines, and everything will be good to go. I feel like my rocks got a little lost in translation here, so let's just give them a little more depth, just so they stand out a little better back there. Finally, at your feet. Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's move to this part. I need to define this area a little bit more. I want to go back and we're putting in, just putting in some darker cavities on the mountain. Okay, and not doing too much with that. Just kind of putting some rock showing through and using the original gray as just like lighter, the highlight area of the mountain. And you'll see it'll start to take on some shape there. I'm going to re-wet this just one more time. I just feel like that shadow needs to be a little bit bolder. All right, maybe not quite that bold, but it's done now. It is definitely done now. Okay. Next up, I wanted to put in. I actually need to grab a hair dryer for what I want to put in right here. But since we're making everything black silhouette, why not go ahead and put in this landmass I was putting down here, and we'll just make it silhouette too. I need black. I need ultramarine blue. A little water to that. I need the red oxide mixed into it, and it would be the darkest here because this is literally right up on this. Again, not quite what I started out to do, but here we are. Here we are. And I want to do a dark blue. Let's see if it'll let me do this and pull it off. Uh, I guess it's not too bad. And as soon as that dries, we're going to put in a tree mask right there, and then we're going to call it done. It's going to be a tree mask that sort of looks like this one. In the meantime, let me see if I can put some birds in the background. I'm just going to use black directly from the pan. Can't believe I'm using black so much in this. All right. I think that's kind of cool looking, actually. So we need to add in this man. So here I need to mix up, and I need this to be paint heavy, not water heavy. So I'm going to do the black since that's what we've been using. I'm going to knock it back with a bunch of ultramarine. And I do mean a bunch of ultramarine. Add in quite a bit of that ultramarine. Okay. I'm also going to add in some yellow. I know, seems weird. But I'm gonna add in the yellow, and it's gonna give it almost a green tint, which is what I want to go for. And let's see, pick up quite a bit of it. Grab a credit card scraper. Let me grab my credit card scraper first. Pick up quite a bit of it, and you're just gonna make a mountain of paint, just like that. Make sure you got it really wet. Then you're gonna go in with that credit card scraper, starting from the edge, and pull up. So at this point, we're building the base of this little area. You do this in any color. Doesn't have to be silhouetted. Okay. Now we are going to paint over this area with that. I don't know, maybe those are rocks on the front. We're not gonna really concern ourselves with them too much, but I do know I need them to be darker than what they are. That's how we're gonna do that. We're not gonna worry about those too much. And now I want to paint in some trees, maybe three of them. I'm gonna go right through my birds. I'm not really concerned with that. And we're gonna start building, hopefully a tree that makes sense. He'll get kind of lost in the sauce. Da, 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 da. Put one beside him. Do, 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 do. And I'm only gonna put three in because three's company. And it makes composition look better. Mhm. Just make sure you leave room for it to breathe so it looks like a tree. Maybe that one be taller than the one next to it. There we go. Okay. That's how easy that was. And you didn't lose the texture in the bottom because you put it in with credit cards. There you have it. We're going to add some highlights to everything and we're going to be done because I've taken up enough of you guys' time with these mediocre paintings because that's exactly what they have been. All right. Tonight in the creation station, we will be doing some video stuff, so be sure to come join. If you are a creation station member, we are going to be doing, um, I haven't decided. You guys want to do oil pastels or soft pastels? Here, let's put some little grasses. Here, these little gel pens are pretty cool. I was talking about these yesterday over in on the other live. birds in that one. That would have been cool. Put birds and everything. What's wrong with me? Absolutely. He way too high in the sky or whatever. Yeah. Um, but yeah, you want to. This is the Jeep pen. Jeep. What is it? Jeep pen. I think it's called. I forgot this brand is called, but it is such a good brand of white gel pen, especially if you don't want to spend the money on a uniball. This is called Jeep pen. You get three of them. They're super opaque. A point 0.6 millimeter, a point 0.8 millimeter, and a 1.0 millimeter. Uh, how I ended up with the 1.0 millimeter in my hand, I don't know, but I meant to get the point 0.6. That explains why that was so. And I'm just gonna put a little movement, highlights. This is really thin. Nothing too serious. I don't even know if you can see that I put highlights on anything, but I did. Okay, and then maybe just to kind of emphasize sidewalk. You still can't really see that. That one is had such a fine nib on it, but you can barely see it. You know how the light will be shining out of that crack on the sidewalk. So that's what I got. All right. And then in this one, we definitely have a water line back here. We would have a water line here. Put some reflection in the water a little bit here. Just a little something to play off of. Same thing here. You would have water lines dividing the shadow from the rock. Water lines along the bank in the back. And the bank back there as well. Have maybe a few more intense in this one because you have those rocks that the water will be kind of moving around. Like so, you could even dab in some of that gel pen in what should be the snow area on your mountains. Okay, okay, I'm not mad at that. And you would have, because these are rocks, so there would be like something shining off the top of them. Who knows? So they have that cute little painting. Let me see if I can make that thicker, the water line around it. And maybe some of these grasses got hit with some light too. Can't be stingy. Grasses get shine. Grasses get shine. Okay. And then maybe down the barks of the tree. That might have a little highlight on it. So there you have that, friends. There are two quick, well, I don't know about quick, but there are three watercolor postcard paintings because that one is two different ones, sort of. I'm going to check the comment section. We're going to wrap this on up. A couple things, observation from this painting tutorial. Although both of them came out okay, and both of them came out well enough for me to send off in the mail. Um, I would definitely. I don't care for this paper. I don't care for the. I don't care for the Master's Touch paper. I don't. It's just that I don't care for this one, and this is 2021, and I actually think that this is worse. Excuse me, than the paper that they were using back in 2010. Now, I will say this. I know that their regular watercolor paper pads at this particular point, although I don't shop in Hobby Lobby. This was sent to me. I don't personally shop in Hobby Lobby. I do know that their paper is now produced by Fabriano. They actually put that is produced by Fabriano on the front of their paper pad. So I'm willing to believe that this is probably more white labeled. And it is coming from a different factory other than the Fabriano factory, because this is definitely no form of Fabriano paper that I've ever tried. It's got more of a hot press feel to it, a hot press painting feel to it, although it does say that it's a cold press paper. Um, Absolutely. Not too bad. I would definitely have tried this on 100% cotton paper instead, though. For this one, it kind of puts me in the mind. I mean, I like this one actually. I will. I might even. I was gonna say I could turn that into a bookmark. uh, I really could. I've been making some bookmarks lately because they're going to be giveaway prizes. Well, that's not a bookmark. That's another insert to go in the top of a bamboo palette. I'm going to start making those and putting them in the top of the palette. But I've been making like bookmarks lately just to give away over on Palm Street, hand painted bookmarks. I think that'll be cute. Here's one that I did back during Valentine, although I think it could probably go for Christmas too, just based on the colors. Then here is that little Christmas painting I did that led to the big one we did in gouache using the Artwell Jelly Gouache. So I put both of those through the machine in order to turn them into bookmarks. I just need to put toppers on them. And this one is more of a junk journaling bookmark. So it'll be things like this that you guys get to see over on that other channel, making things that go along with journaling and junk journaling. My friends, there you have today's live. Of course, there will be edits done to this live for the replay crew. So, about this same time, 2 days from now, you'll be able to access this live and get just the paint along without all of the talking and the checking the chat, just so you don't feel like somebody is talking to somebody off in space as you watch the replay. Don't forget to stay tuned for this Wednesday's pre-recorded release, which will be the release of the time lapse on the bulb prompt for week 4 Thrifty Pastel Month. It'll come out as a time lapse on YouTube. It will come out as a real time paint along over in the creation station level of the Thrifty Patreon community for our November 2025 Just Keep Painting Real Time tutorial. So you can look forward to in-depth instructions on how I did that if you are a part of the creation station. Also, Creation Station, tonight we will probably be working with some type of pastel, be it dry or water soluble. I will be putting the ad up for that live at the top of the page and pinning it in the next hour or so. So look for that notification to come out. If you're watching in replay and you have any questions, don't forget to drop them in the comment section. I'll get back to answering it as quickly as I can. And let me know your thoughts in the comments on whether or not you would like to see that additional channel that concentrates on crafting, paper crafting, sketchbook making, and junk journaling. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna find the time to do it, but I will. I will, my friends. All right. If there's nothing else, go out, enjoy the rest of your week. Creation Station, I'll see you tonight. Patreon, I'll see you. I'm not, yeah, Creation Station, I'll see you tonight. Everyone else, I'll see you Wednesday. Next Sunday will be Palm Street. Mark your calendars. I will remind you again tonight. I will remind you again in Wednesday's video. Check the video description. Click the link to Palm Street. Go ahead and notify yourself. If you haven't created a Palm Street account, it is super simple. You do not have to put in any credit card or debit card information unless you are going to plan on buying something during the live. However, if you're just going to come hang out, paint along with what I'm going to be painting, and you don't plan on buying anything, that is perfectly okay. You do not have to enter any card information at all. You just simply create the account and ask somebody else that's already got a profile on Palm Street. They'll tell you that it's very reputable, very, very reputable place to chill out. All right, friends, that's going to be it. Don't forget to sprinkle a little love if you like the video. Feel free to share because sharing is caring. It'll put it in front of other viewers like you. If you're new to the channel and returning and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscription button and that notification bell so you'll know when we go live and when we upload. Lives are every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Pre-records drop every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And throughout the month of December, we will be adding an extra video every week on Fridays at 10 a.m. to try to help me get through all the things I have planned for December. Other than that, check the video description for all of the relevant links, including the most recommended product list, great quality products, very low cost. And remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, my friends, just keep creating.